Detroit, Michigan, June 1934. Navin Field. Afternoon game. Sellout crowd. 26,000 people, and every single one of them hates the New York Yankees. Not the casual dislike of a rival team. Something older, more personal than that. Detroit, in 1934, is a city that has been ground down by 5 years of the worst economic depression in American history. Ford plants running at a fraction of capacity, families losing houses, men standing in bread lines 2 blocks from baseball stadiums. And in the middle of all that pain, the Detroit Tigers have given this city something it desperately needs: a pennant race, a reason to show up, a reason to believe that something in this city can still win. And standing between Detroit and that pennant, standing between this broken city and the thing it needs most, is the New York Yankees, Babe Ruth. And the man standing next to Babe Ruth, the one nobody outside of New York talks about, the one the newspapers keep calling the second-best player in the league, Lou Gehrig. He steps into the batter's box at Navin Field, and the sound that comes out of those stands is not just booing. It's something with an edge to it. Something that says, we know exactly who you are and what you represent, and we need you to fail today. The Tigers pitcher stares in for the sign. The catcher settles his target. 26,000 people hold their breath. And here is the thing about Lou Gehrig that nobody in that stadium fully understands yet. The thing that the baseball world is in the process of discovering in the summer of 1934. You can hate him all you want. You can put your best pitcher on the mound, pack your stadium, bring every ounce of noise and pressure that a desperate city can generate. And Lou Gehrig will walk to that plate, dig in with his back foot, and do exactly what Lou Gehrig does, every single time. Because what is happening to Lou Gehrig in the summer of 1934 is not something that pressure can touch. What is happening to Lou Gehrig in the summer of 1934 is something that only comes around once or twice in a generation, maybe less, and the people trying to stop it have no idea what they're actually up against. But before we get to what happens in that batter's box, we need to go back, because to understand what Gehrig is carrying into Navin Field that afternoon, you need to understand what this season already is by June. You need to understand what it has already demanded from him. And you need to understand why a man getting hit in the head hard enough to lose consciousness for 5 full minutes shows up the next day and goes 4 for 4. Let's rewind to spring 1934. Lou Gehrig is 30 years old. He has played every game for the Yankees since June 2, 1925. Not most games. Every game. The streak stands at over 1,300 consecutive games, and it is now part of who he is, in a way that goes beyond statistics. It is his identity, his contract with the game, his daily statement about what he believes showing up means. And the 1934 season opens with something in Gehrig that teammates would describe later as a different level of locked in. Not that he was ever distracted, but this year there is something in his preparation, something in the way he goes about his work before games, that even the veterans on the Yankees roster notice and remark on. He wants something specific from this season. You can feel it. The Yankees and the Tigers are on a collision course before the season is a month old. Mickey Cochrane, the Tigers' new player-manager, acquired from Philadelphia specifically to change the culture of a franchise that hasn't won a pennant in 25 years, has transformed Detroit almost overnight. He has taken a 5th-place team and turned it into something that believes it can win the American League. The Tigers have Charlie Gehringer at second base, one of the purest hitters in the game. They have Hank Greenberg at first, 23 years old, and developing into something frightening. They have Schoolboy Rowe on the mound, who at one point this season will win 16 consecutive decisions, 16 straight wins, a streak that makes headlines across the country. And they have the city of Detroit behind them in a way that only a Depression-era pennant race can generate. 50-cent bleacher seats in a city where 50 cents means something real. By June, the race between Detroit and New York is tight and mean, and neither team is giving anything. And then comes the exhibition game, June 1934. The Yankees are playing an exhibition, a warm-up game, technically, the kind of thing that doesn't count in the standings but that players take seriously enough because that's what professional athletes do. Gehrig steps in against a pitcher who throws one inside. Not at the plate. At Gehrig's head. The ball connects with his skull just above the right eye. Modern athletes wear helmets for exactly this reason. In 1934, nobody wears helmets. The ball hits bone, and Gehrig goes down, and he doesn't get up. 1 minute passes. 2 minutes. His teammates gather around him. The trainer comes out. 5 minutes pass before Gehrig moves. He has been unconscious for 5 full minutes, from a baseball traveling at professional velocity hitting him in the head. He leaves the game. Obviously. You don't stay in a game after that. The question now is what happens next. The question is how long the Iron Horse is off the field, because a hit like that, a concussive blow hard enough to knock a man out for 5 minutes, puts most people in bed for a week minimum, and cautious people out for longer. The streak is at over 1,300 games, one of the longest in baseball history, something nobody has done before and may not do again. Gehrig is in the lineup the next day, not as a pinch hitter, not for one at-bat to technically extend the streak and then come out. In the lineup, playing first base, the full game. And if you're sitting in the stands watching him warm up, you might notice something slightly different about his movements in the first few innings. A carefulness, maybe, the particular awareness of a man whose head is not entirely right yet. But by the middle innings, he is Lou Gehrig again. Completely. And later that month when the Yankees go into Detroit for a regular season series that the whole city has circled on its calendar, he brings everything he has into Navin Field against a crowd that wants nothing more than to watch him fail. The at-bats against the Tigers' pitching staff that summer are something that the Detroit players would remember for years. Schoolboy Rowe, 24 wins that season, the ace of a staff that is shutting down lineup after lineup across the American League, pitches against the Yankees, and when Gehrig comes up, the crowd comes alive. Rowe has the stuff to beat almost anyone. He has beaten almost everyone. He fires his best fastball and Gehrig turns on it with that compact line drive swing that is completely unlike the long uppercut of his teammate Ruth. Where Ruth's home runs climb like they're trying to leave the atmosphere, Gehrig's explode off the bat in a rising line that doesn't ask permission. The ball hits the upper deck, and by the time Rowe watches it land, he already knows this is going to be a long afternoon. Tommy Bridges gets his turn against Gehrig too. Bridges is a curveball pitcher, one of the best breaking balls in the American League, the kind of late-biting curve that makes right-handed hitters look foolish by making them commit to a pitch that isn't going where they think it is. Against Gehrig, it works less than it should. Gehrig is doing something this season that opposing pitchers are noticing and talking about in dugouts across the league. He is waiting longer before committing. His hands are staying back an extra half count, giving himself more time to read the pitch, more time to recognize the break of a curveball before his weight shifts. It is the adjustment of a hitter who has been studying this for years and has finally refined it to something close to perfect. By September, the Yankees and Tigers are still fighting. But the numbers Gehrig is putting up by this point in the season have become something that the baseball writers are starting to describe with a particular kind of reverence that doesn't get handed out often. He is hitting .363. He has hit 49 home runs. He has driven in 165 runs. Batting average, home runs, RBIs. The 3 categories that define offensive production. The 3 numbers that determine the Triple Crown. No player in either league is close to him in all 3 simultaneously. What Gehrig is doing in 1934 is one of the rarest individual achievements in the history of the sport. Detroit wins the pennant. Not by a little, by 7 games. The Yankees finish second. Gehrig's Yankees, with the greatest individual offensive season any player in either league has produced this year, finish second. And then comes the vote. The Baseball Writers Association of America casts their ballots for the American League Most Valuable Player. And when the results come back, Lou Gehrig, Triple Crown winner, .363, 49 home runs, 165 RBIs, has lost. The MVP goes to Mickey Cochrane, the Tigers catcher who hit .320 with 2 home runs and 60 RBIs. 2 home runs. Gehrig hit 49. Cochrane hit 2. There's no record of Gehrig saying a word about it publicly. Not a complaint, not a comment. Not even a raised eyebrow to a reporter who might have understood why a raised eyebrow was warranted. He absorbed the result the same way he absorbed the beanball in June, without making it anyone else's problem. But here is the thing that I keep thinking about when I think about the 1934 season, and what it meant in the full context of Lou Gehrig's career. The Triple Crown that was not enough to win the MVP. The concussion he played through the next day. The Detroit crowd that showed up specifically to watch him fail, and the line drives he sent back over their heads anyway. The season that was, by almost any statistical measure, one of the greatest individual performances in baseball history. And that ended with a trophy going to someone else, and a pennant going to the other team. Gehrig went home that winter. He came back in 1935, and he played every game. Of course he did. That's what Lou Gehrig did. If you want more stories like this, hit subscribe and drop a comment telling me who you want next. I read every one. See you in the next one.